If you think Chad was the first character to possibly pander to furries, well, you haven't seen the dancing tigers, which you can only imagine who they could be compared to.
Yes, more.
You know, I'm somewhat surprised that the fandom didn't give this trio a look, especially since these guys give off a similar resemblance to a tiger dance crew from a movie that came out quite a few years ago. Even with the smaller screen time, they have had a lot more of an interesting dynamic than being a sexy plot device for a lame celebrity cameo. Yeah, I said it. The Triple T Tigers have a lot more personality, even if it is at the bare minimum. Though, we'll talk more about that as we take a bat's closer look at Triple T Tigers.
A beautiful day at the national park. Looks like the bears are up to some sightseeing fun.
Hello, New World!
Yeah, this episode pops when it comes to the overall setting of this world. This episode is a perfect example of what makes the show intriguing when discovering a new world. We get the theme of what the episode is going to be about immediately from the first shot of the mountain, clearly being carved as a cat. The details of this show is very interesting. Many of them signify the type of animal we were going to see a lot of during this episode. The sky having a striped, curvy pattern, as well as the paw print clouds, along with the mountain cat having grassy features along it to signify stripes, makes it scream that this episode is going to be featuring tigers. So I hope we get to see Tony the Tiger soon.
Bro, he's not in this episode.
Wait, what?
He's not there. This ain't no Frosted Flakes commercial.
Well, that f***ing sucks. The design of the anthropomorphic tigers are really good as well. They do an excellent job in diversifying the background characters depicting their different ages and body types within the crowd. Also, Tyler, he doesn't have an actual name, was a nice change of pace of how a character introduces the bears in their world. Usually, a lot of the characters are very friendly and are open to showing them around. There's only so much interest in that premise you can squeeze out of, and seeing it time and time again can be pretty draining. So really seeing someone being very smug towards them is a nice change of pace. It was also a great way to introduce the main characters to meet the bears in Triple T, just by him being a huge fan of the trio.
We're the Triple T Tigers!
That was epic!
This was a fantastic way to introduce the Tiger Bros. Since this is supposed to portray a popular online dance crew, they were able to show off each of the Tigers' personality throughout this cringy intro. You get a lot of these characters' personalities based on it alone. What's interesting is that we get each Tiger's zodiac sign and what their favorite hobbies are. While looking at the hobbies in particular, it's interesting how the first hobby included is typed out normally, while the dancing hobby is all caps. Then when you go over to TK, his hobbies are only that. With TK announcing himself being the oldest and how loud he is in doing so, not to mention his zodiac sign is a Leo like yours truly, you can tell that he is the one spearheading this group. Their designs are very unique and embrace each of their personalities while still being in sync with the color coordination they used. You see that in many dance crews that are performing. It really shows that they are willing to show a person's individuality during a performance. So I thought that was a nice touch to add to the crew. Getting all that info just from the opening sequence alone is why I really find this group much more intriguing than the eye candy tigers in Zootopia.
Being great dancers lets us travel the whole world. People everywhere open their homes to us.
Homes?
Come stay in my house!
Grizz now has his new motive for the bros. With the entrance of the tigers and how their fans interacted with them, it was clear that they have lived comfortably due to their success everywhere they go. Though, not only that, we're getting some very similar vibes that Grizz had back in the original We Bare Bears series. If we remember the episode Viral Video, an episode I reviewed forever ago, we saw him going down a similar path of being enamored with popularity when he first witnessed Nom Nom's status. The difference here is that we're seeing it from a different approach within this episode. Grizz was aspiring from afar in Viral Video, while here in Triple T Tigers, TK is the problematic one with how he talks to Tad when he mentions his other interests. It shows a completely different dynamic of how fame could affect relationships within a group. We'll certainly talk about this premise as the episode goes on, but it's quite clear that TK has a tight grip on his obsession with keeping his dance crew intact. However, considering that Grizz's incompetence blocking the negative aspects that are clearly shown, Grizz is dedicated to getting his bros into the same realm as the Tigers in order to get themselves a crib of their own.
What up, fam? Ready for some fire? Yeah! Feeling it! What up?
Yeah, that was a mess and a half. I think this really shows how difficult it is for anyone to get big quickly if you don't plan things out properly. It was certainly a much rockier way of the bros getting together to make a video compared to how they did it in viral video, so it didn't give me enough time to react to what happened. We do get a quick moment of seeing each of the bears' unique interests, like the callback to Ice Bear's love for ribbon dancing. The aftermath of the video being uploaded was a lot more harsh as we see the video receive so much backlash that the video was deleted. The fact the message of why it was being deleted really goes to show how the internet could show no mercy on how it was presented. I also liked how they clearly used an in-between to show how chaotic the sequence was, while also giving a bit of a preview of how an episode is made as well. Even so, witnessing Grizz feeling very defeated from the failure of his video was a bit heartbreaking.
Hey, bruh, let's break it down a little bit. What's been going down with you?
The video isn't epic. My pros don't share my vision.
I'm gonna let you in on something. Big bruh to big bruh. You gotta be the alpha brother.
Alright, so let me just put my own personal spin on this advice as being the oldest out of a litter of 5 bats. Technically, he is correct about the fact that it is imperative that you do what you can to put your siblings in the best position to succeed. It's good for you to help them lead into the right direction in whatever situation they're in. However, that responsibility does not mean that you have to force them to do what you want. It is very clear that TK is drunk with power. I mean, when Grizz sees the group practicing, the music was used to emphasize that TK is being very mean-spirited towards his younger brothers. At the same time, it also depicts Grizz being at his low point as he grieves on his failures. That's a great use because it really builds up a problem that can occur on both sets of brothers. From seeing the Tigers practice, it is clear that TK is forcing his little brothers to do things that they're not comfortable with, or at least over being talked down to about the smallest mistakes. Though in his perspective, he feels it's his right to lead them into this lifestyle. With his success, he believes his point of view is the best example to get to the top. So him feeding this to a younger character that is filling the same role that is also desperate to elevate his family spreads that kind of toxicity into Grizz's head.
Hey, did I say you can stop? Grizz, I'm not having any fun. You're being an epic jerk.
Zing.
I mean, how else would you expect Ice and Panda to react to Grizz's aggressive tone? It was clear that the younger brothers were not very comfortable with the way this practice was going, forcing them into doing it his way by taking away the items that are related to their original interests. The impulsiveness of Grizz can get the better of him, and this situation was no different. Panda and Ice are not as submissive compared to TJ and Tad, so they told it like it is. It really goes to show that any pursuit of being a recognizable internet figure has to be shown with hard work. But it also has to have everyone be on board with the vision. In order for that to happen for a group, it needs to be a collaborative approach. Without that, you'll never be able to reach that kind of success for long and would fizzle out quickly.
I'm the Alpha Bro, and you guys have to do what I say. Being an Alpha Dingle's what life's all about. That's what I sound like?
Yes. Yes, you do. So getting into the possible danger from the fragile mountain collapsing, Grizz now sees that this particular tactic makes him look a lot worse, and it also signals how deep that belief is inside TK. He's willing to ignore the heightened risks that are clearly there. and then continuing the routine caused the mountain to collapse on itself puts into perspective how tunnel vision he is. I really like the fact Grizz's imagery of calling himself an alpha Dingle. Dingle is a staple name for acknowledging a person of being inconsiderate. It's also a solid callback for the viewers of the OG series, as the term was also first introduced in viral video as well.
Don't let a little rock slide scare you.
But TK, we're in a life-threatening avalanche.
Listen to me. I'm the alpha.
Shut it, TK. I don't even like dancing that much.
What?
Good on ya, TJ. Speak your truth. It's crazy how one of his brothers finally breaks their silence in order for TK to see what he was doing. Which is crazy considering that they almost died. His infatuation on dancing made him hyper-focused on part of TJ's sentence that helped him realize his brother's feelings towards his mistreatment. In TJ's statement of "I don't even like dancing that much," it made him pay attention to the criticism of his leadership. Meanwhile, Grizz really allowed his bros to use their tools to help save themselves as well as the Triple T's. His support in the Bears' heroics really gave TK a chance to see what it really means to support your brothers. I think the boys having that pep talk and expressing their issues, but also giving TK a solid reason for not speaking out on his treatment. After all, they do love him, and want him to achieve his dream. So sacrificing their time to help aid him in that quest is very sweet. But you won't catch me doing that though. What? I love my brothers and my sisters, don't get me wrong, but I want to grind on my own personal goals in life.
You're a great big bro. I should be learning from you.
Well, I'm only a good big bro because I have great little bros.
Hey! Who destroyed the top of our national heritage?
We gotta go.
Us too.
I think this was a nice and funny way to end this episode overall. I do think the mountain coming into play was hilarious with how these bros completely ruined an iconic monument for this world. It really played a huge role in this episode as we witnessed the journey of both families, so we can understand the importance of it and help us feel bad for the citizens. Seeing TK have a moment with Grizz also leaves a great notion that you can learn from those who are younger than you. No matter how old you are, there's going to be those who have a different perspective that will help you improve as an individual as well. It really solidifies a great dynamic for the Cubs and the Tigers to grow if they ever meet once again in the future of this series. Triple T Tigers has a lot of great dynamics with one another. And there's a reason why I think they are a much better, more fleshed out version of what we know from the Zootopian Tigers. While you can easily see how they fit the mold of certain stereotypes of a dance group, I do think there's a lot of potential with them. Their designs are top notch as it gives me some 90s vibes. Their dynamics work really well, especially with the voice acting choices to really emphasize the amount of control TK had over the group. It really gave the lesson of allowing those to express their personality and interest instead of trying to force them into a certain mold that only benefits one individual. It gave us another avenue of some scars that could happen when you become an internet icon. The pacing can be a bit clunky at times, so the amount of emotions that could potentially come out isn't nearly as strong as you would hope it to be. The world overall is definitely the most interesting we reviewed on this channel by far, and how the bears were introduced to it was a bit more unique compared to other episodes. It's definitely a decent watch as it teaches the importance of letting your siblings blossom independently while also supporting them. Thank you for taking the time to see this review. If you would like a shout out and see a review a day prior, support my Patreon. Check out my other socials for previews and life shenanigans. If you would like to see more closer looks and other We Baby Bears content, click on the videos to the left. Click the subscribe and bell icons to get the latest from me. Until then, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.